Okay, good Tuesday morning. It is it's 10 o'clock, really close to 10:03 on a Tuesday morning, June 16th. We we would have been at camp this week, so I'm wearing my shirt. I'm excited about the retreat that we have going set up. So for those of you that are going, super stoked about that. And looking forward to it a lot, trying to plan out what we're going to discuss and talk about during this time and challenge you guys with. But I'm looking forward to it. This morning, I am deviating just slightly from my normal project. I got a couple of projects that I need to get done quickly, and so I'm going to try to work on those and hopefully be able to get those done today or tomorrow at the latest. So and I'll give you guys some updates when that happens. The bookshelves are done. The other project is very close to being, to getting to where it's going to get the finished work on it. So I'm excited about that. A few more things there on that one. So I think by the end of the week, we should be good on that. Anyway, I know you guys don't care. I just like telling you. This morning, Tuesday, the challenge that I want to give you is what some would say is very basic, but I think I want to be very intentional with the calling this morning and the challenge to you this morning. So online, read Laura, maybe James and Anna and Bethany. So I'm excited. I haven't seen anybody pop up on Facebook or YouTube yet, but it's Tuesday. Yesterday was a rough day, just mentally, and so trying to get back on track, going in here in the shop today, and with work and church stuff. So anyway, Exodus chapter 3 is where I want to be at this morning, and I want to read something, and then I want to be a little bit forward this morning. So I want to read this. Exodus chapter 3. I'm going to read verses 1 and 2. I'm focusing on 2. Hi, Christy, and hi, Caitlin. Exodus chapter 3, I'm going to start in verse 1, and again, then I'm going to focus on verse 2. Now Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, the priest of Midian, and he led his flock to the west side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. He looked, behold, the bush was burning, and yet it was not consumed. Here we have this account. We have the record of Moses doing his basic job, and he gets onto this mountain. You see, we got some more people joining us. I was going to say hi real quick before we get into it. Hi, Hawk Best, Dad. Hi, Ashlyn. And I think I said, but hi, Caitlin. Hi, Christy. So here's what we have. Moses is doing his job, and he's going along the mountain. He's keeping the flock from his father-in-law. He's working for his father-in-law. Which I'm just going to throw this in there. Like, I don't know. My son, I've got 2 daughters. I could use some help around the shop. So maybe that's what the son-in-law should do. And then if they act up, I just, take care of it at work. But anyway, let's get back to it. Moses is doing his job. He's keeping the flock on the mountain, and he comes across this bush that is burning, but it is not consumed. It is not burning up. It's an on-fire bush. Now, most of you have seen fire. You've seen what fire does. It burns things and it consumes things. We put things in the fire, we burn them up. If you got a fire pit, you have to keep putting logs in the fire because those logs go away. If you are roasting marshmallows or s'mores, doing something like that, right? It burns it, consumes it, and you have to take it out. You can't just leave it there and let it burn. It eventually goes away. That was not what was happening with this bush. He's keeping the flock. He sees this bush. It's burning. It's just still burning. It's just burning, and it's burning. It's burning. So you get this account of Moses saying, I should go check this out because this is odd. This is not normal. So he goes and looks at it, and he finds out that it is God. God is coming down, and it's a very basic representation. It's not it's not all encompassing of what God, who and what God is, but he shows up on this bush, and the only thing that Moses is told at the very beginning is, do not come near, take your sandals off, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He is told that the place that he is at is holy and that he needs to reverence it, and he needs to pay attention to it, and he needs to stop. Now, here's the challenge. And like I said, this is going to be basic, but it's going to be really forward. If you came across a bush that was burning, but not consumed, and then the bush talked to you, saying that it was God, and that you need to take your shoes off because the ground you're standing on is holy, and don't come any nearer than what you've already come. I have a feeling that you would want to tell people. I have a feeling that you would want to share that experience with others. The feeling we would probably Instagram it. We would probably take pictures and put it on our stories, whether it's through Snapchat or Instagram or Facebook. We would do a lot of things. And I fully believe that we would. I believe that because when I get on social media, I am constantly seeing things that are the word I'm looking for is something that catches your attention, good or bad, something that catches your attention, and you share it. You repost it on your account, you link to it, you do something, you reference it, you find the video and you post that video. And we do this because it grabs our attention and we want other people to know what we saw. And that's the whole idea of sharing, right? But what I'm not seeing when I'm on social media is I'm not seeing all of the things that God is doing in your life. Not just you, everyone, me included. I don't post a lot on social media except like invites and information, but our lives should be challenged. Like we should be spending our lives telling other people about the things that God is doing. When Moses saw this bush, he took time out of his day to see something amazing. He approached it. It was holy. And because he approached it, he ended up getting a job, a responsibility to go and do something incredibly huge and to go spread the word and to let some people, to let God's people free. Here's what I think happens a lot in our lives. We are so easily distracted that we never see the bush burning and not being consumed. We never see what God's doing because we're not paying attention. And then when we do see something that God's doing, we're afraid or lazy to tell people about it. Moses here goes on to have an argument with God in this story because God says, hey, I want you to go do this. And Moses says no. And he gets in this whole argument. And he constantly is coming up with excuses why he shouldn't do what God wants him to do. When we see things, when we are experiencing things, first we have to be able to experience them. That's the first part of this challenge is, are we allowing God? Are we noticing what God is doing in our lives? Are we intentionally trying to see what God is doing in our lives? Are we taking time out? I like this, that Moses doesn't just see this like along his path and he's forced to do something. It says he sees it. And in verse 3, I will turn aside to see what this great sight is, why the bush is not burned. He has to take a step forward. He has to go do something to address what God is doing. He has to go see this. He has to go pay attention. He has to take some steps towards it and say, yes, this is something that I need to look at. And so I think that there are times where we are missing what God is doing because we are not willing to take a step aside. We are not willing to move away from what our plans are and what our focus is and our goals. We're not willing to take a step aside and go and see what God is doing in the bush. What is God doing over there? We see it, we notice it, and it kind of triggers our interest, but we just go, no, I'm not going to go over there. And then when we do go over there, we get into the same idea that Moses is that we argue with God that we should do something about it, that we should follow along, that we should listen, that we should pay attention to it. So, challenge is simple today. It's a very simple challenge. But I know, but I want it to be kind of forward in the sense of today / this week / these coming months, whatever. Look for, be willing to see the opportunities that God is doing. Stop focusing so much on your plans, your life, your agenda, that you do not notice what God is doing. Then, once you've done that, take time to step aside and see what God is doing and what He is asking you to do because of it. Maybe He's just asking you to share. Maybe He just wants to show you something amazing so that you can share that with others. Maybe He's trying to get your attention to call you into doing something that He needs you to do or wants you to do. But whatever it is, first off, you have to notice it. You have to be able to not be so engrossed in your phone, in your conversations, in your friendships, in your work, in your priorities, and all of these things that you miss what God is asking you to do or what God is trying to show you. That's the first thing. And then when you do that, then you need to be able to respond and do what God is asking you to do. Here's my fear, is that I fear that some of you have noticed God doing something in your life. You've actually noticed it, which is a good thing. But you've noticed it and you're scared, or you are unwilling to do what God is asking you to do. You've noticed something, but you're scared and unwilling. And I don't know a specific situation, but that's just what was impressed upon me while I'm reading this, is that this is the challenge that we need. First off, we need to be paying attention. to Jesus and listening to what he's doing. That comes, the way we do that is not only just focusing on what's around us and seeing what God is doing, but it's getting into God's word, allowing him to open up his word to you, getting into a devotion, getting into study, getting into these types of things, like actually taking time and paying attention to these things. It takes that, and then it takes the step of actually doing something about what it is. And so that's my challenge to you this morning. First off, notice that God's doing something and then do something about it. That's Exodus chapter 3. It's a story about Moses. He saw something, he stepped aside, then he got his responsibility of what he was to do. So that's what I got for you today. Exodus 3, read the story, read the argument between God, but read what Moses does, read what God talks about there. Again, noticing it, stepping aside, and actually taking steps to do what God is asking you to do. That's the challenge today from Exodus 3. So I love you guys so much. Again, I'm working on the schedule. I know it's been rough. Yesterday was not the greatest day. So working on the schedule, trying to get that done. Of our retreat that we're going to go take. It is going to happen. I need to raise some money, but we're going to do it. We'll figure it out. I know that this is going to work. We're going to do it. So the retreat is scheduled. I got you guys all the dates and times, or the dates. And so we'll get times out soon in a schedule. So I love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.